Hello, my friends, and welcome to a brand new episode of Discourse in Magic. My name is Jonah and in this episode, we sit down with Fernando Figueras. Now, Fernando I met while I was in Spain, and just a few conversations in with him, I knew that I had to have him on the podcast. He is a magic coach, which means he helps people with their magic. He gives them feedback. He talks about how to make it stronger, what they need to do, and he helps give a lot of that advice in this episode. He talks about honesty. He talks about the audience reactions. He compares magic to sex a lot, which I don't know how you feel, but it was mind-blowingly interesting to me. He just shares a ton. He's performed on stage alone. He's performed as a team. He's done so much, and he really blew my mind in this episode. So I think you're going to love him. He also runs something called Campus Mágico, which is a 1-week magic retreat with some amazing Spanish magicians, which you'll hear a little bit about. And so I think you're going to love the episode. I know I did. It was super fun. So here it is, a wonderful time with Fernando Figueras. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Discourse in Magic. My name is Jonah Babbins, and we are here in Madrid with the one and only Fernando Figueras. How are you?
Yeah, that's me. How you doing?
I'm doing super well, and I'm super excited to talk magic. And the very first night I got here, we were able to talk magic, talk theory, which is my favorite thing in the world, and I'm excited to dive into it and share some of the great things we were talking about. So let's start at the very beginning. How did you get into magic? How did you get started?
I started quite late. I was in university already. I am a computer engineer, and I was into hacking. So I went to see a magician, and Pablo Segovia, who is one of the masters in Madrid. He's amazing. He's still performing. And I wanted to know about magic. Like, you go to a museum, you Google about the director or the painter or whatever. Yeah. So I found some forums on the internet with password. Password. So I hacked into several forums. Like Magic Cafe, Dama Inquieta, yeah. And then, just as an exercise, not cracking, of course, just hacking.
Yeah.
It took me like 30 seconds.
I was going to say 10 minutes.
At this time, it was pretty basic.
Yeah.
But then I discovered it was much deeper than I thought.
Right.
Or I could expect it. So I got hooked. And then everything went to...
you had to make an account on the Magic Cafe instead of hacking in.
Yeah.
So you were in university, so maybe 18 or 19 or something.
Yeah, I was 19, yeah.
And then you discovered that there was magic and that there was a whole world of it and that you could find the secrets on the internet somewhere. When did you start doing magic or performing magic?
I just started with reading, and knowing that so many people share this interest. So it was never me on my own with a book. Right. I went to a magic shop in the first week, and I bought a thumb tip and Joby's Car College.
Yeah. And you're off.
And I was in the magic club almost since the beginning. And Miguelajo, one of the amazing guys here, he was welcoming very warmly. So I said, okay, that rings a bell. I want to share this. And I was lucky to be in Madrid when it was active like hell. With Gea, with Figueredo, with Fornayev, with all the guys really there.
You know, it's amazing how much a great community plays a role in not only the quality of the magicians, but the amount of magicians who want to be a part of it. You know, I think about it a lot in Toronto where because of the shows and the lectures and stuff, I'm at any event where a new magician might arrive, and I see what it's like now versus when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I felt like I was doing magic alone, and when I went to a lecture, it was just old guys who didn't want to talk to me, and then me and my other 19-year-old friend would do magic together, you know? And now I find that there's a great community, and it helps develop people, and it helps welcome people to the community. And you said a beautiful concept earlier when we were talking. You said maestro amigo?
Maestro amigo,
Is that it?
This concept of mentor/friend.
Yeah. It's amazing. Such a great idea. And when you have a community that supports that and that you can live and learn like that, it's incredible. So talk to me about how you took magic more seriously as like a career, or when did you know that you could actually invest some time into doing magic seriously?
Not yet. I've been doing magic for 20 years, and I'm not yet in the professional approach. instead of taking it seriously, we went the other way around. Hector Mancha, Carlos Vinuesa, Pablo Poza, we started doing stupid stuff, like comedy sketches with magic on it. And we started a show. It was, let's say, kind of successful because the place was sold out for 2 years. But it was just having fun.
Was it weekly, monthly?
Weekly.
Oh, great.
Laberinto Mágico, the magic labyrinth.
Yeah.
After some months, we discovered some people called Ferting and Fingers, and we said, hey, these guys are doing our stuff. But no, of course they were before. That's why I decided to go to Germany to meet them, and I met Pete, Thomas Fraps, Gaston, Memprofan.
That's great. So you guys were performing, and you said you were doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Is taking Monty Python into comedy routines.
Right.
It was the idea was having fun. It was like 2005, 2006. But the main point was having fun. But then we learned so much because sketches. The idea was always more than one person on stage.
Right.
Actively. So we learned a lot about role, about status, about focus, misdirection. Because when you only have your hands on the mat, first or second or third degree of misdirection relates to the distance of your hands or the movement or stuff.
Right.
But with two people on stage being actively perceived as performers,
it's like each person is a hand almost. Or,
yeah. So it's broader, and you have all like each hand is a whole body. So the possibilities grow a lot. And I've played bass for many years in different bands, just for fun also. But being a bass player means you have to learn how to control your ego.
Right.
You play as the support of, In Magic was the same. I felt like the ego control was needed in order to respect the focus, so the effect would work. Not only because it's nice to respect it, but if you don't respect that now, you have to do the technique in the shadow, in the shade, and wait for your partner to just snap the fingers and the magic happen, and he getting all the clapping, and you shutting up.
Yeah.
For some people, it was not easy.
I imagine.
But it teaches you a lot.
Was it your first time performing was in a group?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard to even comprehend because now I don't even know if someone told me like, okay, you're in a band of magicians who perform together. No single person will stand on stage alone at any moment. Plus or minus.
Yeah, and what I see is galas. Like now it's you, now it's me, now it's him.
Right.
No. We were always at least 2 or 3 magicians on stage, and the scripts were prepared very loose. So you could do my role tomorrow if I don't want to go or whatever. And also the idea of intermissions, like when you finish your act and it's me going on stage. What do? You just leave saying, and now a big round of applause for my friend. No. I would interrupt you. And at the end of the routine, propose a new premise, a conflict.
Oh, interesting.
Solving it, maybe him being pissed off and leaving me already on stage to start with the next one. So it was like a flow of...
It's incredible. I'm interested if there's 1 or 2 lessons that you distilled from working with people on stage. Because particularly, like I said, it being the first opportunity to perform like really on stage is, I'm sure it really changed the way that you think about magic. What kind of advice do you have for somebody who is trying to work as a team on stage right now?
It's about sharing. We enjoyed because on Sundays we were performing together, but Saturdays we were rehearsing in the morning for several hours. Friday we usually hang out to just discuss and have fun. Thursday we were meeting other guys. Wednesday we went to see some shows. Right. Tuesday was with Gea and maybe having some drinks and discussing magic. And Monday was the magic club, and then dinner with Tamaris, and then this pub when they have magic, and then we were... So it was almost every day or even every day. Different people, different groups mingled together. So... It's about passion.
It's beautiful. It makes me think of like an improv troupe. They perform together, they're friends, and that's what helps you start realizing how each other thinks, and you start being able to come up with things on stage or off stage together that...
Yeah, a quick funny story. Once, like many years ago, I went with a girl to a small village to be with her and to have fun. And we stayed in a hotel, and she got ill. She got ill, so she went to sleep. So I decided to stay in the bar of the hotel, and I started writing a script for a show, for our show, for Laberinto Mágico. It was 6 a.m. when I finished. I said, that's cool. So at 8, I started calling all my guys, hey, tonight we are doing this. What do you mean? Yeah, listen.
Right.
And you have to do this and this and that. Calling the next guy. And you are and no rehearse. We did the show. Right? This very evening. Many things didn't work. Some things
of course
changed spontaneously, freshly. I just remember at the end of the show was all of us on the floor laughing uncontrollably.
Yeah, uncontrollably.
And the audience were really having a great time.
Awesome.
Like feeling fresh.
I find it incredibly challenging to even think about where I would start if I was going to say, I'm going to write for me, and I'm going to write for you, and I'm going to write for him, and we're all going to do this together. Mm-hmm. I don't even know where I would start. How do you even write a script for a team of people? Like, it's more like writing a script for a play than it is like writing a script for magic.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And then you have to know that some magic rules will be not maybe respected as they should, and then you have to fine tune it.
Right.
Then absolutely not making the plot complex, but stupid in the sense of, I wouldn't say lame, even naive.
But simple.
Simple.
Yeah.
So they can breathe enough for us to breathe with them.
Right.
So the plot, the trick, my partner and me could be a team together. For instance, this old trick from Anima, like a magician, gambler, and mentalist.
Right.
Well, what if we have a magician, a gambler, and a mentalist?
Right.
That's the very basic, most... but it worked, and we had a funny routine of Magic Olympics or something like this. But then it got more and more complex. We spent years doing it.
That's awesome. Let's move forward a little bit and talk about some of the stuff that you do now. You are a magic coach and consultant. And one of the things we were chatting about earlier is usually when I hear magic consultant or magic coach, or, I think about either television or a giant stage show that someone has. Like Darren Brown has consultants for his Broadway show, and David Blaine has consultants, or Dynamo or whatever has consultants. But now I'm just starting to hear about people consulting on a regular magic act. Talk to me about what it is to consult for magicians and what that's like.
I think the same. This term leads me to these ideas of, for big shows, or just because it's a cool name to put on your CV. No, it's me living the bubble. What I do is I've been sharing magic for all my life, receiving feedback, honest feedback. When I was on the board of the Magic Club in Spain, we have to do an exam to be, I guess it's the same everywhere.
Oh, really? No, I didn't know that. You have to do an exam to be part of the club or to be on the board?
To be a member of the club.
Wow.
An exam is do a couple of tricks in front of us.
Is it if the tricks work, you're in, or is it like...
It's not like that. It shouldn't be like this. It's more like a rite of passage.
Right.
Yeah, okay. You are now part of the family. Give us something.
Right. And it's it has to be like original, or it has to be...
No, it can be as lame as you want, as complex as you want, as crazy as you want.
So if somebody said, I want to be a part of the Magic Club, and you said, okay, show us a trick, and they did the 21 card trick, you would say, come on in?
No, we have like a monthly or every 3 months, whatever, exams, proof of passion or something like this. So it's like a gala, small gala. And now it's him, and welcome him. Taka, taka, taka. Some tricks, better, worse, doesn't matter. It's more like a same, like a hi.
You put an effort to do it. And
hi, that's me. Hello. We all love you.
Right.
But we wanted to change that in the way. After the exam, we always used to give feedback, sitting with them for an hour and giving deep feedback. But also we started doing it beforehand, like rehearsing. Okay, I will spend 1 day with you. What are you going to do?
Right.
This and that. Okay, why? And how? And why not this? And what happens if you move that? If you change the order of this? Mm-hmm. So I got used to do that for several years. When I started with Campus Mágico, I was doing the same, and then I realized there is a value in what I do. So it's more about understanding who is in front of you, trying to have the empathy, not to overwhelm him with my ideas, but the other way around. Hey, that's not really you. Why are you doing this? Because it's obvious from my outside perception that it's not you. Oh, because I've always done like this. Okay, what happens if you do it like this?
Right.
Or what would you like to express that you are not really doing yet?
So who would be an ideal student for you? What place in someone's magic or in their development, or you know what I mean? Because maybe too early you might say like you have to go love magic for a little bit, and then I'll have advice for you, or maybe not.
So, sometimes it's the other way around. It's like everything it gets chronic with the time. And imagine you've been a professional for 20 years,
Right.
successful and
You
stuff.
have habits you can't unlearn.
And it's like, no, it's more like, really, are you going to tell me how
Right.
should I do things?
Right.
And it's, yeah, in Germany there are big professionals counting on me for feedback, because what they have is a willing to keep improving and knowing themselves, and also they control their ego. Ego is the key word here, because I have to be careful. A part is the knowledge on technique, on approach, on presentation, on whatever, and then is empathy.
Right.
If I go against your ego will push me away, and you will lock down.
Right.
And even you will make your ideas, you will believe more in your ideas because of rejecting my ideas.
Right.
That's what ego does. So it's more like I need some butter to make things go
to help,
softly.
to help it go easy. So I know that we spoke about it a little bit earlier, and you said like it's always different. But maybe someone's listening to this right now and they say like, fuck, I need a magic coach. Like I need someone to help me with my magic. Is there instructions or a recipe or maybe even steps for them to go through internally to know what it would feel like?
There's an exercise on honesty, and if it's not having been working before, it's hard to break this and to take these glasses with color glasses out of your eyes. A good thing is an honest friend, someone you trust, and at least, it's not so easy, because how do you know? It's not, again, like before, it's not giving advice. I shouldn't give advice, because then it's like throwing seeds. Maybe they will grow, maybe not.
Right.
Or if they are paying me for a result, I have to find shortcuts and hacks in order to make them really at least be open to listen to it. When you are paying for someone, usually you are already open for listening. But practical, in real life, you realize that some people, they are not so happy to
get advice.
They
say they are.
When you put a mirror in front of them, it's more like a mirror.
Right. A word that you use now for the very first time, but you've used a lot and is very important, is honesty. Mm-hmm. What does that word mean in magic? That's not a word that if someone asked me to name 10 words that describe magic, I don't think I would reach honesty. I don't even know. I don't know that I would ever reach honesty. So talk to me about that. What's honesty in magic?
Yeah, from my very own point of view, of course, that's the number one word. It's not in magic, it's in art, in communication. Yeah. It's like what you do, what you create, what you perform, what reflects who you are. There is a link between what you do and who you are. And two lines, going outside and coming back inside. Right. How do you create or perform something that maybe is not so yours and you are happy with it? If you are happy with it, if it's not yours at all, it's maybe because you are not listening to yourself, you don't know yourself. So let's start with know thyself, and then from there.
So what if somebody said like, I'm doing this guy's trick and it feels good? Would you say, maybe not?
I don't really care, because at some different points, people feel different things. Maybe in the beginning, you will...
Right.
I like that, I want to do this. That's how many magicians come into magic.
Right.
Because, that's...
Mimicking.
Mimicking.
Right.
What I don't like at all is when people talk about reaction. Oh, I love this trick because it gets...
Great reaction.
Great reaction.
Right.
What does it mean, to start with? Reaction on what? Sadness? Happiness?
Right.
Impact? No, impact. What is impact? On your knees when you jump. But I am very into linguistic and semantic. What is their definition, or at least your definition of impact and reaction? And why would you want to create a reaction that is embedded in the trick? So, magic already comes with surprise. Usually, because you don't know how it works, and the ending is a plot twist, they will be surprised. So if the tricks provide surprise and the audience get surprised, what did you do? You were just the the goblet for this trick. You didn't do anything at all.
Right.
And when people say, yeah, because I want audiences to feel like this or like that, well, that's a very obvious lie, because it's like everything we do is selfish and it's the way it should be. You don't want the audiences to feel like that. You want to see the audience feeling that, and you're feeling good because they are feeling the way you want it to feel.
And are you saying that's good or bad?
Selfishness is amazing. It's good.
Right.
It's what selfish.
Yeah.
Not selfish, but
Not selfish.
it's what makes you coherent with yourself.
Right.
But you have to be aware of that. No, you don't want them to feel that. You want to feel good, in this case, by them feeling this way or that way.
Right. So when somebody says they want a good reaction, maybe what they're referring to is bigger, louder, wow, instead of like, oh, very nice. But you made a point to say, like, what emotion, are you looking for? Or what response are you looking for? Or maybe I'm selling it too short, but I don't know how much of my magic makes people react in different emotions. It's maybe funny and impossible, or interesting and impossible. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know, like, what do you mean by a range of how is a magic trick sad unless I say something sad?
Yeah, of course. 3 things here. I always like to compare magic and sex, because they relate in a very similar way. For me, sex is communication, performing is communication. Because of maybe porn or whatever, so many people think that good sex is and big screams from your partner.
Right.
Yeah, well, maybe there is a wider range. Maybe it could be like a dance. There are many ways to play it, and some of them will last for a while. For a while, it gets old, it gets boring, it gets... Yeah, what's next? But if you are dancing, it can last forever. If you are only giving and never receiving, you will stop and the other way around. So it's about a flow of communication. In emotions, it's the same. It's like, yeah, you can have this SM sex or softer. You can have this big reaction trick or softer.
Right.
Or mixing it, or developing the structure of your acts in a way that has a range of that. And when I say emotions, I think some people get it wrong. It's not about making the audience feel something specific. That is something you cannot create.
Right.
Because usually, if you watch a play and the character is feeling sad, you will feel...
Maybe sad?
Or maybe not.
Yeah.
Because if he's the evil guy, if he's Voldemort feeling sad, you maybe feel happy, or fuck you deserve it. Exactly. Or I don't care because this character doesn't have texture.
Right.
You can express your emotions. That's the only thing you can do. And then the audiences will get what they want, what they can, or what they are willing to get.
Right.
So it's not how to put sadness in a trick that maybe it's not desirable, but maybe it is, why not? Is how you are honest with yourself in a way that what you want to express will be there. That when you perform it, you relate to it. It's not that you feel it or you're forced to feel it, like the bad understood Stanislavski idea. Is let it flow until your act. Then from the act to the audience is the role of the act. Or the audience or whatever.
Yeah. I'm trying to understand what it would mean to think about an act and think about the emotion that you want to put in. Because I love what you're saying, that you can't say, like, I want them to feel sad, because they bring whatever they can to the table. You can only add your stuff to it and then see it. They can take it in however they want. I'm trying to understand. I've never started with a trick or a show and been emotion first. It's foreign to me. So what would that mean? Like, if somebody said, like, I want people to be nostalgic. You say you express yourself. What does that mean? Like, do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want the audience to feel anything. I just want the audience to be there.
Right.
Because of my own selfishness, I want the audience to admire or observe at least what I'm doing.
Right.
And then I will listen to what they say. It's not that I'm asking them. I mean, it's not my task, because I'm not, when I perform, I'm not lecturing, so I don't want to give a message or teaching anything. It's more like, in this show I've developed, I want to go through myself. I want to go through this wave of feelings. Right. I hope they like it. I hope they get something from it. I hope they hate it. And they say, "Oof, you took me to a place I didn't want to be."
Right.
That many movies do. And I'm not these kind of magicians that the message or play is the important thing and then the tricks. No.
Right.
Impossible is the main goal in magic. And fascinating, right?
Yeah.
With Tamaris, you will discuss. Fascinating and impossible.
Yeah.
Both of them, but none of them is an emotion.
Right.
Impossible is not an emotion.
Right.
The surprise, the shock, the sensation, that is what you receive to your sensors, either the skin or the brain. Then the emotion is how you process this sensation, and then behavior is what you do after with this emotion inside.
Right.
Like slapping you in the face, kissing you, clapping, standing ovation is reaction on the emotion,
how your emotion is expressed. Right.
So I throw something. If I'm lucky, it will go towards a sensation for you. Like you feel it, like a stroke in your arm, you feel it. It will give you an emotion, ooh, tickling, or creepy, like, oh.
Right.
And then it will provoke a reaction.
So one of the things we were chatting about earlier is what you might say to express something that is, I don't want to say sad, but whatever the emotion is. Like, do you tell a story? I can't think of a way other than telling a story to share emotion.
Telling a story is, for me, a story is a whole structure in narrative.
Right.
You can have a line. A line is not a story. So I prefer to work on magic ideas, like a premise, right?
Yeah.
I like to say, usually you call it a prologue. The prologue should not be just a story. It should be a story or a line or a stream of actions that they have inside the premise of the next trick. So it will taint the whole next routine with this idea. And then at the end, maybe, together with the impossibility, you will get a second layer of, this about that.
Right. Do you have an example that I can understand that's not a story, but it's like a sentence or an action or something?
Yeah, for instance, I have a memory routine, and I teach the audience how to memorize cards also. So it's a game, like I memorize the whole deck, and they memorize a whole suit, like 13 cards.
Yeah.
And then I do it, so I'm building on, wow, we did it, that's amazing. He's amazing because he showed us that we could do it. And wow, he's amazing because he's doing it with the whole deck.
Right.
And then at the end, they repeat it. I ask them to repeat the card, and they still remember. Yeah, so it's a flow of emotions.
You can see it. You can see that the emotion is built in. Like it's.
But at the end, I say a line that is, and tomorrow you will remember, and the day after you will remember. They will stay forever. After all, what it is to remember. What is hard is to forget.
Right.
This is a kind of line that is not only to provoke into them. Right. It's because when I created this routine, I was still sad because of my ex-girlfriend and I couldn't forget her.
Right.
So because I was studying memory techniques and at the same time I was not able to forget, I composed, not construct, but compose the outer part, this routine with this idea in mind. So somehow I found that the routine already had it. It's not like a laboratory when you put put a drop of sadness and a drop of gamma rays. No.
That concept of saying like, here's something that's going on in my life and here's a trick that I'm working on, and seeing that they maybe are close or mirror each other or whatever, that's not something that happens to me or that I provoke or whatever. What can somebody do to be more aware of how their life is visible in their magic?
Maybe you don't need it. I mean, also your magic shouldn't be therapy for you.
Right.
I hate when these people go on plays and it's like, you are doing therapy, right? For yourself.
I
for
totally
yourself.
agree.
You are using me as a... If you are happy and you have guests and you prepare dinner, maybe you will put... So you will be more creative and you will put this and you will take care of the details.
Right.
And you are sad and depressed at home and you will fry an egg and you will even eat it in a piece of bread instead of... But maybe if you are happy and alone, you will put it on a plate and a glass of wine, and that's my treat for myself.
Right.
Well, this is already what you are doing is influenced by how you are feeling and how you are aware of this feeling. If not, maybe you always eat on the kitchen table and...
Right.
No, but again, this honesty, this looking in the mirror, being aware of how you are feeling today It's like we always consider that it's very nice when someone really asks you, looking in the eye, how are you?
Right.
Maybe we have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, how are you today?
Right.
And then this emotional response from this question will flow the whole day with everything you do. If you are creating, if you are reading, you will interpret something you read in a different way,
Right.
Depending on your state. Just being more aware of that as a starting point.
You know, it's interesting because I don't think so much about how emotion plays a role, but I'm trying to like be more aware of how emotion can play a role in my magic. You said something interesting earlier about the magic club. I don't know if we were talking about it on recording or not, but you said there's only 2 reasons why magicians show each other tricks.
Yeah, for me.
What are those reasons?
If a magician show a trick to another magician, usually the real cause is either you want to show off or you expect some feedback. I'm only interested in the second one.
Right.
Showing off, I don't really... I mean, I see enough tricks every week.
It was very interesting because when we first met, you said, we're going to do some magic and music and feel free to show any magic, but leave your ego at the door. And I said, I've never heard anybody say that before, but I said, wow, that's great. And then you re-vocalized that when you were talking about the Magic Campus. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about that and maybe like, is that a way of thinking that you came to from seeing so many magicians try to like show off? Or because it seems like you're very quick to say that when there's magicians say like, let me explain to you how this community works. Mm-hmm. There's no showing off. That's not what we're doing here. Yeah. Whereas I've never prefaced that when people come to my community, but I might. It's a good idea. You know, it's good to tell people what the rules of the game are. So how did that come about?
It's something I didn't learn from magic because we are very brain conscious, head conscious. Yeah, when you go to a convention, when I go to many conventions, I usually work with Card Shark, with Christian. So I go to many conventions, and then at night you are in the Ruskin in Blackpool or whatever, any pub, and then some guys approach you to do a trick. And after the trick is done, I have this question in my mind. What was the goal?
Right. What do you want me to say?
Yes, maybe just sharing a good time. That is perfectly possible, of course, but... it was showing off, or he really wants my opinion, or he wants not my opinion like advice or masterclass on that, but you did a trick, let's talk about it, let's spend the next 30 minutes discussing the whys, when. When there's a bunch of Spanish magicians in a convention and someone approach and do a trick, we start, like this, I like to do it like that, and do pam, 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 pam.
Right.
And some people sit and they say, that's exactly what I wanted, and some people are like, why?
Right, they're like offended.
Yeah, just say you like it and move on.
Right.
There is a tradition of physical theater in Madrid linked to magic. And in physical theater, because they play with honesty all the time, brutal honesty towards themselves. But I've been aware of, this is not about showing off. It's about, we are spending so much time just to show off. This master, Luis Garcia, the best books in magic are Luis Garcia's books, in my opinion, is the deepest and most beautiful. He says, we spend our best years doing the same again and again, repeating the same tricks. It's like alchemy. You are polishing the lead in order to get metaphorical gold. Yeah. Just to show off, it's kind of a waste, right? It's like, I'm sure you are trying to get gold for a higher purpose. Sharing amongst the community, it should be like to grow together.
You know, it's interesting because I think about all the time when a magician shows me a trick and I'm always wondering like, how should I respond? You know, I think about that all the time. Like, are you going to be offended if I share some thoughts, or am I supposed to go, great, that was lovely, I loved it? Like, I don't know. So I like the idea of saying like, this community is for sharing and talk. You know what I mean? It's not for showing off.
Yeah, of course. I never want to impose my thoughts when I'm somewhere else. But Fraxon always said that he only gave his opinion when someone asked 3 times.
Right.
Like, hey, did you like my act? Yes, it was very nice.
Yeah. No, what did you really think? I thought it was good.
So that's why Tamaris was always approaching, Maestro, did you like it? Did you like it? Did you like it?
So talk to me about this Magic Campus. I saw a little bit about it online, but if somebody has no idea what that is, what is it?
Campus Mágico is my pet project. I've been doing it for 5 years already. I like the way it's growing. It's growing slowly but organic, with honesty, let's say. The main thing is a whole week in Madrid in a cottage with swimming pool, barbecue, and beer. 10 hours a day of teaching on emotions, movement, gesture, creativity, metaphors, and stuff. So no tricks at all by me, but Deity Lucas, Miguel Gea, Mario Lopez, Kiko Pastur, Miguel Muñoz, Javi Benitez. It's a big thing. It's only 10 to 15 people every year for a week. So that's...
So do people come with affects they want to be better, or people come just to learn?
No. Well, of course, at the end, after... I mean, we start at 9:30. We finish by midnight with the classes. And then some people stay and we share some tricks and fun and ideas. And then we can keep going on. We are like sick of them. But no, it's like you sit here, listen, and then apply. It's very practical. But it's not a practical in order to use it to your stuff in this moment, but to plant some bugs in your thinking, and then back home you will really know how to
So
use it.
it's like lectures on theory and on...
I wouldn't call them lectures.
Workshop.
Call it.
Yeah.
The main point is on practical. Even if we speak about really alien stuff that you've never heard, we will break it down for you. So we will start doing exercises on these small things, like with movement. We only grasp the basics of physical theater movement, but we will spend 10 hours doing it. It started because I've grown magically in Madrid and physically, and all the time people say, "Wow, you are so lucky because of being in Madrid.
Right.
Magic is so big there and so sharing spirit and stuff and stuff." And I said, "How could I express that? How could I create something that express this feeling I've received all my life into them?" So I approached campus like a 6-day magic trick. Right. It's a magic trick that lasts for 6 days, the longest in the history maybe. So it has a beginning, a middle act, and an end game. So I design like this, so they can grasp a feeling of what I felt when I was growing in Madrid. Lots of thinking, lots of beer, lots of sharing, and lots of fun. Yeah. Put together in order to grow into magic, not just to have fun and let's.
Now that you've been doing it for 5 years, what are some of the ripple effects or results that you've seen, I guess, across the globe? Or like, how have you seen those weeks of magic or those students go on to utilize that or anything like that?
There's a big, beautiful change. Yeah, you can tell. It's almost already, it's 100 students have been there. And now when I go to conventions, there's always someone from campus. Right. Maybe one or three. And you see they have now different eyes. I wouldn't say better. I mean, I think it, but I don't say it. It's like at least a different way of approaching what has been already approached in the same way. It starts to grow a small community, so they have a common language at least.
Well, that was what I was thinking about. Is like you can both watch the same act together and think about or comment on or whatever with each other the same ideas that maybe other magicians would be completely blind to. Let's say talking about movement. You both have the basic understanding enough to be able to talk about someone's movement, whereas no one else in the building is talking about movement. For example,
maybe not every student improve that fast or that big, but it's awareness again. It's they already are aware of something they were not before. I think it's a disaster for shops and stuff because some people who were addicted to buy tricks and props, suddenly they realize that
it's not
the magic is within, and they don't need to get the next thing.
This whole podcast exists because there was too much of my surroundings. It felt like buying new magic on a pedestal over everything else, and it's like just studying magic, let alone internally. But the thing that became abundantly clear for me was that the biggest focus of your magic is the introspective ones, is the internal ones, right? And the external ones are great, and you learn and you collect methods, and then you have to put the you into it. And nobody really teaches anybody I know how to do, you know what I mean? Like my community, no one talks about how to do that. No one, and you have a community with you all jamming on ideas, and then at the end of the day, it's you with a pen trying to figure out how to put yourself in your magic, right?
Absolutely.
So and there's not, for me, there's not a ton of people. I have a lot of amazing magicians in my community. Not a lot of people that are in tune with that idea, or at least what it feels like recently.
Yeah, if I can get a little bit political from a sociological point of view, I blame the companies.
Really?
Yeah, in magic you have, like in any other discipline, you have entertainment,
Yeah.
which I'm not. I don't consider myself an entertainer. There is art, there is culture, there is research, history,
Right.
and industry. Industry could be like a painter selling paintings, but in magic, there's the industry of selling tickets, of course, but also the
tricks.
internal industry selling
Yeah.
tricks
Yeah.
that is growing because it's easier to sell a new trick than to sold out a theater,
Mm-hmm.
funny wise. So many people turn towards the community to create the industry. The problem with industry is the problem with capitalism. It needs exponential growth,
Right.
always growing. It's a rat race,
Yeah.
hamster wheel,
Yeah.
always turning. If you buy a trick and you spend now the next 6 months dissecting, understanding, playing, creating, forgetting, then the company goes to bankruptcy.
Right.
So they need you to buy the next one
Right.
in order to survive
Right.
and to grow and to so the competitors don't sell more than you and then you have a bigger warehouse.
Right.
So you keep selling stuff not only to keep growing economically, to avoid that you start thinking. Because if you are worried about the next week newsletter of magic.com to see what's ultimate, then you have already forgotten about the previous one
Right.
and then the next one. But if you are spending months with only one book, because if it's a good book, opens up your mind and makes you crazy, then you will not buy it because you will be so entertained by what you have. So because they learned that, they did two things. First, keep releasing stuff non-stop in order to keep the rat race.
Yeah.
And second, nowadays the products are like black boxes. Before it's a prop and you can, okay, let's play this way, that way, Now
Right.
it's
It does one thing.
polished,
and it does-
wrapped in velvet
Right.
and stuff. When you listen to reviews now, they start, oh yeah, and we
Beautiful
received this
box.
product, beautiful box and this leather
Like, who
ribbon.
cares?
What? I get really pissed because they are playing with. We magicians always say we use psychology. It's usually bullshit, right? Like, yeah, we have some notions of basic perception psychology.
Yeah.
Well, who uses psychology is these companies
Right.
who make us into zombies.
I agree, by the way, and it's very. I find myself torn all the time because my favorite magicians go to amazing companies. I mean, they're great because of what they've accomplished and done, and they release magic, and I want to support it. But I also like. I don't have a life of buying magic. Like, that's not the life I subscribe to. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so I'd rather buy a book than a trick every time. And I do what I can to do that. But it's always challenging because, I like the people that run it, but the same challenges, right? I don't want to tell people, go buy more tricks. I can't recommend it. I can only recommend, like, okay, if you really, really want it, buy it and then work on it for a year, 3 years, or,
It's like what we said about showing a trick to magicians.
Yeah.
Why do you release a product or a book? In order to express yourself because you needed to do it, because you're an artist,
Right.
because you wanted to share, because you are a teacher, you wanted people to know your stuff, because you want to be a legend. That is also all right.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to remember what I did, I achieved. Okay, publish. Because I want them to buy it and I want to get more money. Then it goes into the industry part.
Right.
And then you get trapped yourself into releasing stuff.
Right.
And now lectures are like markets in Morocco.
Some of these companies are releasing like multiple things a week, and like, the life cycle of a trick is like, it's like 3 weeks until no one's heard or talk about a trick any longer. So I agree with you. I feel all of that. And aside from not buying tricks so often, what habits or what approaches can we get into to help us dig deeper instead of wider?
Wider is necessary, at least wide enough.
Right.
If not, you are blind. In the beginning, studying techniques and methods is super important to create a pool of tools and be skillful with them. So later on, when you have something to say, you know how to say it. It's learning the language.
Right.
If you have many beautiful thoughts and you want to express it in German and you cannot speak German,
Right.
or only have 4 cheesy words, then you will feel like it's not.
Right.
So yeah, take some time, learn the language, not buy some tricks.
Right.
The roots, the grammar is there. Antonio Ferragut, who died some years ago, and he was an incredible master, said that Ascanio, the only thing that Ascanio did was teaching us how to speak. It doesn't mean it's only Ascanio, of course. We have all the
Right.
masters, and they are called master because of that, because they teach us. From Gary Kurth to Vernon, well, not only Canadian, I mean, there are more masters out there. And then speak. Get used to speak.
Right.
Go to a bar and speak the language, order a beer, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah. The same with magic, as we do. But then we have to go over 1 beer, please.
Right.
Una cerveza, por favor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You start with that. Be proud of that. It's part of your learning process.
Yeah.
And now choose. For me, making decisions, the sentence making decisions is what art is. Making decisions. I want to do this. I don't want to do that. I will do it this way because I choose to do it that way.
Right.
And this one, it becomes truly yours.
And if somebody says why, the answer I don't know is fine.
In life, you can choose by yourself, or some context can choose for you.
Yeah.
If you suddenly have a kid and your parents are sick and you need to provide,
Right.
then the decision has been already made for you.
Right.
You still have a range of decisions you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
take in that. Like in magic, okay, that's my job, so I need the audience to like it. Perfect. And with this range, with this context, now, what is your leverage to be yourself?
I wanted to chat about one of the structural concepts we were talking about cause and effect, because I found that very enlightening to magic. So talk to me about, when we say effect, you said effect doesn't really exist without a cause. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
A fact is a fact, and it's a fact by itself. It's just that. But if this fact happens to create something else, it becomes a cause. If I slap you, it's a slap. There's nothing wrong or right.
Right.
It's a slap. If you get angry, that's the effect of my lap.
Right.
Of my slap.
Right. Of the cause.
That becomes a cause. It was not a cause until it creates an effect.
Right.
And you getting angry, it's not an effect unless it has a cause. If the wallet falls to the floor, it's the effect of someone pushing it or whatever. But by just falling, until I know what caused it, it's not an effect. It's a fact.
Right. There is no effect without a cause.
Yeah, no. And there is no cause unless it creates an effect.
Right.
There are things happening.
So how does that reflect in magic?
But we use terminology very loose. Like we are very lazy in terminology. Effect, sometimes we really refer to a routine. At
Right.
the end of the routine,
Right.
the moment of magic. So we cannot use the same word to define 5 different things.
Right.
If you want to approach phenomenon ideas or symbolism or stuff, effect will not be enough, because an effect is not even anything until
just
you
a
understand the
result.
cause.
Right.
When you understand the cause, is what is called phenomenology. A phenomenon is the binomial between cause and effect. Understanding the effect and the cause will help you to understand what is this about. And then you can be pure to the phenomenon and not mixing color change with rising cars,
Right.
with...
Right. We see that all the time with a kicker ending that makes no sense.
That makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah.
How does somebody use this approach where an effect, which is like a result, needs a cause, and the pairing of a cause and effect is a phenomenon in magic, and with that, the idea that you have a phenomenon by seeing something that's causing this and the result, no matter if it's impossible, whatever, now you can start looking at symbolism. Is that am I understanding correctly? Or metaphors or like
Yeah,
that?
it doesn't need to go this way up.
Right.
It can be bottom up or
Right, it
to
can go
bottom.
down.
Yeah. That breaking a rope and restoring it is not death and resurrection per se.
Right.
Could be not. They say linking rings is about the union and the
right.
symbolism is about togetherness or...
Yeah.
Well, maybe for you, because if I already go on stage with the links, with the rings linked, and they unlink, maybe it's about freedom.
Right.
Freedom is not even related to union. It's not opposite. If you cut the tie of the groom, cut the tie in the party, it's about death. No, it's about, okay, get loose.
Right.
Okay, why did you cut my tie? Because I want you to get loose and enjoy life. Okay, then, with this effect, maybe the cause you wanted to create, the cause you had in mind, this effect was not the best in order to express this cause, but we have it. Okay, what is the phenomenon? Sharing my ideas physically into you. And the symbolism, then we can go until, I am the one who is so close to you that I can cut your tie because... But if not, cutting a tie or cutting a rope or cutting anything...
Can mean that or nothing. Right. One of the things that when I read The Magic Rainbow was when I started thinking about symbolism more seriously. And I don't know, when I looked at my magic, it was harder for me to unravel what the symbolism might have been or might be, which means that I obviously didn't create it with symbolism or metaphors in mind, you know? Do you think it's a necessity? Or do you think do you think magic is symbolism, magic is metaphors, or do you think it's a way to express your magic?
Gabi says that misdirection is not salt that you put. Let's put a pinch of misdirection.
Right.
No, it should be embedded. Symbolism is not something. It's not a patch. It's not a pattern that you put on top.
Right.
It's either before or you find it out after years. Oh yeah, I really wanted to talk about that when I designed that, and now I figure out because when something happened, I cannot do this routine anymore.
Right.
And you are aware of your own symbolism. If it's flat, if it's empty, hollow, then this will not happen. And if it's hollow, it's hard to fill up. It's not that it's a container and you put things. It's not a drawer. A magic trick. A magic trick is already a creation.
Right. It exists already. You can't add symbolism or anything like that. It's like.
Well, you can maybe you have an idea of archetype or a desire or an intention or an opinion or whatever. It doesn't need to be always godlike symbolism. And you have a piece and you realize, wow, one of these tricks fits very well with the idea of how I would express the symbol. And then you go to your laboratory and start understanding it.
The last thing I want to chat about is magic as an art. One of the things that you said, which was really interesting, is we were talking about competition shows earlier, or just competitions in general, and you said it's very hard to rank an art or to evaluate an art in that way. So, I mean, I guess that was stemming from us talking about kind of the distaste for magic competitions, but I've also found that some incredible magicians were motivated by the need to, or the hope to succeed in a local competition, who created acts that are incredible. So what don't you like about competitions, and also how can somebody either not competing or competing or whatever use the kind of thinking that comes from what someone would do in approaching a magic competition, but either by staying away from the politics or something to that end?
Anything what I say is an advice, is an opinion.
Of course.
I always thought that you cannot measure art. You can measure sports. We run, you arrive first, you win. No doubt. But in art, if it really comes from within, from myself, who are you to tell me if it's good or not? If it's true to me, then it's perfect. If it really fits what I am to what I create and express, then it's 100% good. Then if audiences like it, if it's original, if you use lively colors or whatever, it's not regarding art. It's regarding the opinion of a bunch of guys. A very wise bunch of guys. But you don't know about my world. I don't know about your world. I can try to model who you are by sharing and talking, but still I don't know you. I will never be able to know anybody. So competitions are good for, as people say, having a deadline. So it forces and motivates you to work. Then you have a lack of intrinsic motivation and you are looking for extrinsic motivation that is not so good, but whatever. Or to have a proper CV. Because first place are other. Then your achievements are by other people. Okay, I agree with that because of the industry of performing that is there. we don't need to discuss about all the festivals that only hire FISM prices because they are arranged by some politicians in FISM.
Right.
Of course, if we stop caring about competitions, how do these people support the way of living, of creating framework of competitions, conventions, FISM and stuff, and living so gladly? What is FISM good for? Only as a convention every 3 years to have some lectures like in any magic club,
Right.
but for 800 people at the same time, and then competitions like everywhere else, but then bigger and giving you a big bulky trophy that usually you leave because it's too heavy for your luggage. But then this way they will be happy to keep traveling and enjoying, because we are giving it importance. They say it's important, so we believe it's important. So
we say,
when you go to some countries, all the magicians are only focused on creating competition acts, and they think it will solve their problems and their life economically or whatever.
I loved what you said about if you're using a competition so that you can perform for a deadline, then it might mean that you lack intrinsic motivation. But it could be just as good for a friend to say, okay, our show is in November. Let's go 10 more days or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
I've always proposed in competitions, change the competition word for gala of new promises or new talents.
Oh, interesting.
So in the convention I used to arrange, I wanted to, okay, we have 10 guys. We have 2,000 euros for the prize. Let's split it in 10. And it's a
And
gala,
just pay them
and
to
it's
be
a
on the
gala
show.
of ideas.
Right.
The mind hunters or the talent hunters, headhunters,
Yeah.
will still be there already. I mean, don't worry. Even if you don't get the first prize, he will be watching you.
Right.
And if he likes, he will hire you. It doesn't. A good headhunter doesn't need a jury saying first prize to know what's good for his festival.
I think it's maybe helpful for people to think about some of the challenges that competitions propose, and I'm challenged to how somebody, I don't know, what in somebody's city would motivate them to have a great act. And it can be a show coming up, a deadline, or that you're working with friends on doing something amazing, or...
Yeah, the deadlines are super important, of course. Right now, for instance, I'm creating the Meaningful Magic Club idea.
Yeah.
It's a branch of Campus Mágico, but it's in different cities. I'm starting groups of feedback sessions. It's a whole day every 2 months. So a group of people meet, welcome, coffee, and a talk, and then, okay, first one, and he performs. And we take notes. Second one, take notes. And now 30 minutes of feedback on this. And those are your notes. Give me your opinion on our feedback. So it's really feedback.
Right.
And in 2 months, we will review that again. What for? To improve, to feel it more yours, to whatever.
Right.
Not in order for me to say, tap,
see
tap.
how it's better, see how if it changed and anything like that. So we are nearing the end of the episode. There's a few wrap-up questions, but before we get to them, there's one question that I ask Spanish magicians. And in North America, whether it's lost in translation or whether it's a miscommunication or misunderstanding, the term Spanish School of Magic has a lot of meanings. And they're all not probably what it is. You know, sometimes it means if you speak in a Spanish accent, you do magic, it's a Spanish School of Magic. And some people think if you read a Tamariz book, it's a Spanish, or whatever, right? Yeah. So whether it means something literal or it means something metaphorical, when somebody says the Spanish School of Magic, what does that mean to you?
You should ask them, because we don't use it, this term, of course.
Right.
And it doesn't exist. There's nothing like a Spanish School of Magic. There was the Madrid School of Magic, school in the term of line of thinking.
Right.
In the 80s, Tamariz, with Ascanio, with Luis Garcia, with Victor Espino, created this kind of magazine where they were writing
every week or every month or whatever. Right.
It was letters and sending the letters and then releasing a kind of internal private magazine. So the wording got stuck.
Right.
This doesn't exist anymore. You can get it as a PDF or stuff. It's amazing stuff. But yeah, when people say that, they refer to a way of performing that nowadays you can see in Mario Lopez, in Miguel Gea, in Jaime Benitez, in Luis Olmedo. That is like, people say, I don't know why, but it feels different.
Yeah.
Well, I will insist. I think it's honest because they have created from themselves not with a role of a master saying, do this movement and this movement and that
Right.
movement and this idea. So it's very natural because it comes from within. And it has gone through the filter of friends for years. We have WhatsApp groups, we meet several times a year, we meet as often as we can, and we share and we give opinions and why not this and that. In some other countries, they tell me, yeah, we are not so used to give feedback within friends.
Right.
And for us, it's like there is no other way of communicating through magic to my friend. If I'm with a friend in magic, what do I do?
Right.
Show a trick?
Then what?
Or show my trick that I'm developing, and he says, "Man, that's
Nice.
not you.
Right.
Why don't you do this and that?"
Right.
Or,
You know, it's a great answer, and I really like that you said that all of the people who we now consider when we say Spanish magic, who we're talking about, are people who run their magic by each other and get feedback. And by the time we see it, the reason why it looks like masterpieces is because they are. Is because it's been however long, a decade or 5 years or multiple performances plus working with people plus all of that to make it become what it is.
of course, some of them are super talented.
Of course, as
It's like,
well.
Wow. But I think talent also means knowing yourself. It's always the same. It really feels true because it's really true.
So we are getting to the wrap-up question. So at the end of every episode, there are questions which we ask each guest the same one. So the first is, in order to keep the podcast going on for eternity, each guest is asked to recommend another guest that must be on the show. Who would be amazing to have on the podcast? I guess I would say specifically somebody who either you know who I'm not talking to or you know that I maybe have not have heard of.
José Castiñeiras is a magician from Asturias, the north of Spain. He's living in Madrid right now. He's my roommate, indeed. He's a dermatologist.
Okay.
But his magic is so well constructed, so well thought, so well understood. And he goes in completely different lines than me. We have big quarrels on... But the impact to go to this infamous world and the reactions he gets are amazing. He's one of the magicians I've seen doing amazing stuff because he's so technical, he's very good at with his hands. He constructs and builds very well, and in a way that really pays off. It's like, yeah, then you see the audiences and they are saying like,
right,
off all the time. And I've seen like, wow, I haven't seen this kind of people really being like, this is properly impossible,
right,
like with him. And he knows why. I mean, he's one of the guys who can explain why.
Great, that'd be great. The next thing is about modern magic. So I know we actually talked a lot about current trends in magic that are good and that are not good, but what's something in magic right now, 2019 or 2020, that you really like, and something right now in 2019, 2020 that you really do not like?
I thought you meant the book Modern Magic. Oh. I'm not so much into watching new magic right now. For me, as for many other people, Miguel Muñoz, his way of understanding, polishing, and keep working on the same alchemy again. Miguel Muñoz act, I've known this act because I think he did it the first time with us in the Magic Labyrinth, 2006.
Wow.
2007, 8.
Wow.
I'm not so sure, but at least
10 years.
No,
12
more
years,
than 12 years, because in 2010 he got the Grand Prix in Spain, so it should be 2011, well, whatever. So at least for 13 years he has been working in the same act. In the beginning, it was completely different. It was a glass of water, a pint, and a cardboard box, and boom. So if for 13 years you keep polishing and taking care and loving something, of course it will grow together with you. If you want to have a physician act in the next 3 months or something like this, or you want to release a new trick because you have a clever method, why don't you polish for the next 5 years?
Right. Yeah, I think that's an easy lesson to learn, which is however long you were planning on waiting, wait a little longer. Work on it a little bit more. And the last thing is take-home point. So people have been listening to us talk about magic for over an hour now, lots of different stuff. when people listen to podcasts doing all sorts of stuff, walking their dogs and whatever, and maybe they don't remember every little detail. If there's one thing, one take home that if somebody thinks back to this episode, they're to remember one lesson or one thing, what would that important thing be?
Smoking is bad for you, and try to know yourself, like in the Delphi Oracle, know thyself. And not only because it's like I'm not into mindfulness or things like this.
Right.
It's more like why are you doing what you are doing, and what you are doing, where does it come from? From within, from someone else? Why don't you treat your tricks like a baby that you gave birth yourself,
Right.
instead of a
Something you're using or
yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't mean you will not love an adopted boy, of course, and you will love more within the years. Of course, if you spend 10 years with him
Right.
and you put a lot of love, it will be your son. If not, it's a T-shirt you buy today and you throw it
Right.
tomorrow.
Right. Beautiful. I love that. I love that message. And the last thing is, where can people find you? Where can people find you online? Where can people find ways that they can learn and work together with you?
I'm at home. Anytime you are welcome. And many magicians come to my place. It's like a hostel for magicians. And we stay a few days.
Beautiful.
I'm always traveling. I'm usually on tour or stuff. I came back to Madrid after almost a year and a half for non-stop.
Wow.
But no, I have no webpage. I'm not very active in social media. But yeah, campusmagico.com is where people can check about this stuff. That is what I really put on my thinking.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for doing
Thank
this
you,
episode.
Jonah.
This was an absolute pleasure. And of course, a big thank you to everybody at home who joined us to listen and learn. And as always, I'll see you next Thursday. There it is, another fantastic, super fun episode with Fernando Figueras. He blew my mind a lot on the episode, a lot off audio, which is a shame that I couldn't capture. But he really, really shared so many cool ideas. I loved that anytime there was kind of like a magic hangout that I went to, he made a point to say, like, you know, this is about sharing and this is about feedback and stuff. This isn't about showing off. And I think thinking about that and thinking about that separation when you share magic with other magicians is really important. And he does a lot to foster great, great magic communities, and I learned a ton. So I hope you did. As always, if you liked the episode and if you learned something, please share it with someone. Tell a friend, spread the word. Social media is really powerful, and it really, really helps. It helps a lot of people learn more magic and learn to be better and put a little more oomph into what they do. As always, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next Thursday.